All right, welcome back to the party, everybody. I am your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. How is everybody doing tonight? It is not Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, so I figured I would have a makeup show for you guys since I was not around last night. Papa Lutch was in the ER, and I'm going to get too much into his stuff, but he was in the ER. He had have a procedure done, but it wasn't like super emergency. So we went in Wednesday night, and they're like, "Well, we have to keep you, but we can't do the procedure until Friday." So he just had to chill and sit there alone on Thanksgiving, which was also my 35th birthday. I went to see him yesterday to, just see him. He's getting up there, and he's fine. He's fine. But with everything that's gone on with Morty recently, and I'm getting older, Papa Lutch is getting older, it just really, really makes you think. Shout out to King Nirvana. Welcome to the party. Good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome. Yeah, just saying, Papa Lutch is doing well. He's doing all right, for now, at least. That was a good opportunity to kind of talk about how an atheist looks at, or can look at, because not every atheist is going to think the same way, but can look at the idea of losing someone, dying, their own mortality, all that kind of stuff, without the pretext of God is watching over me, without the pretext of I'm going to go to heaven and be in paradise forever, but also without the notion that, if you're not really good, you're going to burn in hell forever. And it's a two-sided coin, double-edged sword, if you will, because one of those is really good and one of those is really bad, right? So obviously the notion of not believing that hell is real anymore was definitely a calming thing in my life. Like, I definitely expected that once I whenever I would get in trouble as a kid, that like, oh no, God's mad at me, God's gonna send me to hell. And especially since I wasn't really that bad of a kid, I was like not getting an A on my homework or not finishing my chores before my mom got home and ish like that. I was worried about going to hell for that kind of stuff. And we definitely could talk about how parents use religion and the aspects of parenting in and of itself, but that's a whole other thing. What I think is a little bit more interesting is the requirement that you be a little bit more practical and logical about the situation. And so I've actually been relatively lucky in the sense that I haven't had a lot of people that were close to me pass away. I haven't really had a lot of people close to me in life to begin with, so that's again going to be a trade-off. But the closest person I ever had did pass away just over 10 years ago. And I was because if you don't know, I was born into the Catholic Church. I was a full-on believer all the way through. My family had moved to a Methodist church when I was in about 8th grade. I was still full-on believing, got confirmed in the Methodist church, and kept going until when I went to college. I found drugs, psychology, and philosophy, and God cannot survive those three things. It was all that time I never really had to deal with death. And a few years later, my best friend in the world, I call him my brother. I have a tattoo that says family is thicker than blood, because of course they say blood is thicker than water, meaning family is everything. But I didn't necessarily have the greatest relationship with my family, and definitely worried about Papa Lutch now, but wasn't always the case. And so blood is thicker than water. Blood is thicker than water, but family is thicker than blood. And this man was definitely my family. And so, the morning that he passed away, it was just a traffic accident, and we weren't really sure what was going on, but a lot of people were at the ER and waiting, and everybody was understandably really emotional and stuff. but it didn't seem like, everybody there was religious, but it didn't seem like their religion, despite the fact that it is almost solely about this aspect of what happens when you die. They see someone potentially has died, yet they don't know how to deal with it. And I just found that interesting. I mean, not in the moment. In the moment, I was dealing with my own ish. But yeah, it was very interesting. Like, well, shouldn't you guys be like, oh, thank goodness, yeah, our boy is now headed up to heaven. He doesn't have to suffer anymore. Those are the types of thoughts that I was having. That allowed me to stay pretty much level headed. And again, I was definitely emotional. I'm not saying it wasn't emotional, but it was it was a little bit different than what everybody else was dealing with, just because of the way that I approached the situation. And I remember being like, all right, this is our lives now. This is a defining moment, and I didn't even know how how true that was, and how much that day, that loss, and going through that experience would shape me. And I have to imagine. I think about it, I have to imagine that most people who would want to be able to have a healthy way of dealing with loss, in the sense that you don't just avoid it, but you're also not grief-stricken so much that you can't move on with your life. Like, obviously, you want to mourn people. That's part of the grieving process. You want to take that time. You want to, go through all those emotions and stuff. But then you got to move on with your life, right? And yeah, it was just really interesting to me how these people didn't. Some of them either didn't seem to focus on that aspect of why they should be okay with this, or from a completely different side of things, they would almost act like, oh, I know that this is supposed to be really sad, so I'm gonna milk it and fake it and show everybody else how sad of a situation this is. And it's like, are you acting right now? Are you doing a thing right now? I don't know. It's weird, and I think it definitely has to do with the way that people are expected to react. Shout out to Old Man in Poverty. Instead of a giant cell tumor in my hand. Well, that's not good. You should get that checked out. Hope that goes all right for you, brother. I mean, yeah, there you go. Everywhere you turn, there's something going on where, like, this could get serious. This could be not so good. And the ability to, again, look at things rationally, just in general, not just any particular situation, but the ability to have that rationality is, I think, what allows us to cope better with stuff. I don't know. What do you guys think? You guys are all quiet. I had something here. Let me grab some of it here. Boy, yeah. Get some atheists on death. Hold on. I had it before. Where you at? You definitely see a lot of in the opposite direction, where people will say that they were an atheist and then something happened near death. Either they were near to death, or they had a family member near to death, or something like that, and then they became believers. But you don't often hear it the other way around, where it's like, I used to be a believer, and then a bunch of people died around me, and I started thinking logically about it. Let's see what we got here. Hold on 1 second. Yeah. Shout out to Rationality Rules. I did indeed steal your thumbnail, sir. Much appreciated. Of course, we hit that like button on any video we do. Let's see what we got here. As always, guys, if you cannot hear the video, I cannot hear the video. What is going on here? Hold on. What is happening?
Death is perhaps life.
Hold on. Okay, so let's see. Okay, where we at? Hey, we got The Viewerski in the building. Welcome to the party. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's bring up Pascal's wager while we are talking about that. And that's that's an interesting way that I think is a ground level thing that a lot of people use in terms of what should I think? What should I think? And so Pascal's wager is basically the idea that, well, if there's no God and I believe in God, when I die, nothing happens. But if there is a God and I don't believe in God, when I die, well, I'm going to hell. So I should just play it safe and believe in God just so that I'm safe. Well, it doesn't really work that way, because that's not how I mean, certainly I don't know, but it doesn't seem like that would be the way that God would operate. It's like, I know you didn't believe in me, but you said the right words. It feels like God would know what's in your heart. And it feels like since we know that you cannot force yourself to be convinced of something, like you're just lying to yourself then. And so you're not saying, oh, I'm going to choose to believe in God, because that's not a thing you can do. You can just say, I'm going to choose to say that I believe in God and hope that either I convince myself or I can convince God. Before we dive into that, let's say hello to Sarah Marie. Welcome to the party. So I have no idea what has happened, but deepest sympathies. Hope to get to return to this stream. Well, thankfully, nothing has happened just yet. But of course, Morning Mark. Of course, every donation comes with a treat for my co-host Morty. Thank you so very much. Like I was saying, my dad was in the hospital for Thanksgiving. He's okay now. He's doing all right, but it definitely got me thinking. As you guys know, Morty had a scare recently as well. So I thought it was a good thing to talk about. But thank you so very much. And of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream. Thank you. Shout out to Carl. Welcome to the party. So I think very few people die as atheists, like people in a foxhole or a trench. There's nothing to lose by praying. I can't prove that, but I think it's true. And I mean, that's what they say, right? There's no atheists in foxholes. But I've heard a lot of conflicting ideas. And I honestly don't know. I'll tell you that at no point when anything that's gone on with Morty or anything that happened with Papa Lutch, at no point did God come into the equation for me. Like it just only the fact that I'm like, oh, I didn't think about God. That's the only reason. That's the only thought of God that I had. And so, I mean, maybe you're right. I don't think that you are. I highly doubt there's an overwhelming majority of people who live their lives as true atheists who are seriously not convinced, and then right at the last minute when they get sick, oh no, just kidding, I believe. I don't know what that does. I don't know what that does to anybody, because if you honestly don't believe, yeah, there's no harm in praying, but praying to which God? You're praying to Yahweh, you're praying to Allah, you're praying to Zeus, which God? And so this is coming from a Christian, or at least a monotheistic perspective, is that, well, you're going to revert to that event. Why would I? And if I would, maybe I would, because I grew up and spent half of my life in Christianity, in a monotheistic religion. But why? But again, why would we expect that somebody who never had these ideas would just instantly have ideas of God and this and that when they die? That doesn't make sense, right? So yeah, I don't know how. And again, you're saying you don't know, and I'm saying I don't know. I just based on ignorance, I think it's better to take the my position over yours. Okay, so the Holy Ghost not got inside your closed off heart yet. You know this already. Yeah. Well, what am I gonna do? I'm here, Lord. Touch my heart. It has not been. What is it? It has not been closed off. I promise you. I am here. I am willing to accept you, Lord. I am not being facetious. I am not being ironic. I am not being anything but honest. I am willing. If something were to happen right now that would be convincing, unequivocal evidence of God, I would completely change my entire worldview and everything that I think. God has that power. I put it out there. I don't know what else I could do.
Death is perhaps life's harshest lesson, and yet it's one that's only ever learnt by the non-religious. The religious grieve, of course, but they ultimately see death as an illusion, as a gateway to another place, be it heaven, Aru, Nirvana, or Valhalla. Whereas the non-religious, to quote Hemant Mehta,
understand the finality of death.
We see death for what it is, death, the final and permanent ending of our existence. But truth always comes at a price, and in this case it's heavy. Unlike the religious, who can soothe their grief with delusions of grandeur, and who are convinced must only find a way to say goodbye for now, we must soothe our grief with science, art, and philosophy, and find a way to say goodbye forever.
Shout out here to Rain Man with a fantastic question. It says, do you want there to be a God? I don't know. That is I'm surprised nobody's ever asked me this question. I think from a very superficial and selfish perspective, no. That would mean all the stuff that I've been very confident about for the last 10 or so years, I would be wrong about. So for that reason, no, I don't want there to be God. But if we zoom out and if it is, again, let's, what kind of God? I would hope there would be a benevolent God and all these things. But yeah, I think that if I were to find out that there was some plan to all of this, and that the whatever it was, that there was something else, I think that would be comforting. I remember what it was like to have that safety blanket of, oh, Yahweh is up there, the God of the Bible is up there, Jesus did all he did, and we're good. As long as I follow the path, we're good. I miss that. I think a lot of atheists do. And it's very difficult. That's why so many of them are assholes, because they don't take the time to figure out how to be a good person without that safety blanket. And so great question. So I would have to say, yes, I want there to be a God. And I understand that would mean that my entire life's work so far would be wrong. But I would rather, I'm not interested in being right. I'm interested in finding the truth. Great question. Welcome to the party. We also got Stephen Colbert Cheese. So I just talked to God and he convinced me to join MAGA. There you go. Hey, I'm not, whatever, like I ever said, as I'm here and you're here, whatever brought you here, I don't care. So if that's why you're voting my way, I'm all for it. Welcome. And so that's why the wager thing is and that's why the wager is kind of the best thing to you. And we're all kind of already doing that. By that I mean, hopefully we're doing best to be decent and hope for yeah. Well, that no. So okay, let's move. Let's switch over to this. Hold on. I want to make sure we fully understand Pascal's wager, because it is rather important. So let's go over to this guy here. Of course, we hit the like button, and
hi, I'm Susanna Reinhardt, a philosophy professor at Harvard, and today I want to talk about Pascal's wager, an argument for belief in God. There have been many different arguments for theism throughout the history of philosophy, but Blaise Pascal, a 17th century French thinker, employed a particularly unusual strategy. He did not try to prove that God exists. He didn't even try to argue that God's existence is more likely than not. Instead, he lifted an approach from the gambling hall and argued that, given the odds and the potential payoffs, belief in God is a really good deal, even if the chance that God actually exists is low. Rationality, he claimed, compels us to wager for God. First, consider a different decision problem, whether or not to buy a lottery ticket. Holding fixed the price of the ticket, the sensible approach is to focus on two considerations. First,
and of course, heaven being winning the lottery.
What are the chances of winning? And second, what is the size of the payoff? Holding fixed the payoff, the higher the chance of winning, the better the deal. But, equally, holding fixed the chance of winning, the larger the payoff, the better the deal.
Right.
Most actual lottery tickets are not a good deal at all.
No.
But we can easily imagine
real quick, just in case you guys didn't know. They don't have the lottery because they want to give you money. Just in case you didn't know, the lottery is a scam, and they'll only give you enough money to keep you coming back. I don't know who needs to hear that, but stop playing the lottery. Carl said Pascal's wager is basically neoconservatism, right? In what way? What? Shout out to Gridiron Masters. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Said near-death experiences that allow physically impossible perception are interesting to study. I personally believe there has to be some measurable component if conscious survival is real. I also agree that there has to be something measurable there. But that is exactly why that doesn't necessarily interest me in terms of the question of God and the afterlife and all that kind of stuff, because I do believe that there's a measurable component there. And so once we understand, like, oh, there's just more DMT being released into the brain, time dilation, boom, 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 boom. That's what near-death experiences are. You were never dead. You just thought you were dead. So like that, I completely agree with you. But and that takes me farther away from thinking that there's anything divine there. But welcome to the party. So you said, except that it's valuable to focus more on statistics, since our psyche and ego can lead us astray so easily, hence embracing Bayes. Bayesian epistemology as a foundational approach to life's choices. Sure.
Hypothetical lottery that's
you realize we're explaining Pascal's wager, right?
lottery tickets are not a good deal at all. But we can easily imagine a hypothetical lottery that's a really good deal, even if the chance of winning is still very low. For example, even if the chance of winning is only 1 out of 100, if the payoff is $1 billion and the cost of the ticket is, say, only $1, it makes sense to buy a ticket.
Buy that
Pascal
ticket.
claims that belief in God is, by similar reasoning, an infinitely better deal than this. He reasons as follows. Either God exists or God does not exist. If God exists, and you believe, the payoff is an eternity of happiness, an outcome of infinite value. If God exists and you don't believe, things will go much worse for you. So, if God exists, you're better off believing. Now, if God doesn't exist, then regardless of what will happen to you if you believe, and what will happen to you if you don't believe, regardless of whether the value of each of those outcomes is positive or negative, and regardless of whether the first is larger than the second, or vice versa, this much seems clear.
Doesn't matter.
The value of each outcome will at least be finite. Now,
so if you take all of this, I don't like how they do this. Usually they have a little bit of a clearer matrix.
Here's where the mathematics of infinity works its magic. Since infinity times any non-zero probability is still infinity, and infinity plus any positive or negative finite value is still infinity, the expected value of believing in God is infinity, which is definitely greater than the expected value of not believing. Now, something about this reasoning might strike you as a little bit fishy. Indeed, philosophers have provided many objections to this version of Pascal's wager. One objection starts from the observation that the world contains many different religions, which postulate different gods.
Right, and so that's going back to sorry, who was it? Where'd it go? To Rain Man. To Rain Man's question. That do I want God to exist? Well, I mean, it depends on which God we're talking about. Thank you very, very much. Yes, Papa Lech is home. He is out of the hospital. Everything is good as of right now. So we're all good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. He did miss Thanksgiving, but he's good now. He's good now.
The world contains many different religions, which postulate different gods, some of which would, if they exist, punish believers of other religions. Another objection claims that even if Pascal's reasoning is good as far as it goes, it has no practical importance, since someone who doesn't already believe can't just decide to truly believe. A third objection holds that even if you could decide to believe, someone who believed in God because they thought it was a good gamble wouldn't be given the infinite reward.
Exactly. The notion that, put a 1 in the chat if you believe that me, personally, Lech, who does not believe in God, that if I were to just start telling people that I believe in God and acting exactly the same way I do you think God would accept that? Put a 1 in the chat if you think God would accept that and let me into heaven. Of course not. That's cheating. That's not what he's not saying do whatever you want and then just say the right words and open sesame and you get to come in. I mean, unless that is the way it works, but that's certainly not the way that I was taught. Thank you again, guys. Very much appreciated. But yeah, that's not what I was taught. So unless that is the way it was taught, then, it don't make no sense.
Today, though, I want to focus on a different objection. This objection is that Pascal's wager proves too much.
He always does.
First, notice that there's some chance that if you attend just one church service, you will be converted and become a staunch believer. No matter how low this chance is, as long as it's non-zero, given the infinite payoff if God exists, the same form of argument given before would allow us to conclude that the expected value of attending just one church service is infinite. Perhaps this doesn't seem so crazy yet,
Okay.
but notice.
Wait. Expected value of believing in God. Let's go. Let me hear that one more time.
There's some chance that if you attend just one church service, you will be converted and become a staunch believer. No matter how low this chance is, as long as it's non-zero, given the infinite payoff if God exists, the same form of argument given before would allow us to conclude that the expected value of attending just one church service is infinite. Perhaps this doesn't.
So now we're saying theoretically, the value of believing in God is equal to the value of just going to one church service. Which again, do you think that if I live my life exactly the way I was living it and didn't profess to believe in God, but I just attended a church service one time, would that be enough? Probably not, right? Gridiron said DMT can explain physically impossible perception. Absolutely, it can. Absolutely, it can. Where have you seen dancing elves that turn into fucking rainbows? What are you talking about? A trip can't let you see real information in a nearby area. How do you know that? The question, of course, is if that's happening. Well, exactly. So you're both saying we're not sure if it's happening, but it's physically impossible. You can't say both of those. Either you don't know that it's happening, or you know that it's impossible. Because if you don't know that it's happening, it might be happening and therefore not impossible. And I'm not saying it has to be DMT. I'm just saying we know that DMT is released in the brain near death. And so that is definitely a contributing factor. But there could be some completely other thing. There could be some external thing. I'm completely down with that. But all I'm saying is that it doesn't mean that just because people have see things that don't exist in our waking life when they're on DMT, and also when they're in near-death experiences, that doesn't mean there's anything divine about it. Carl says that is a difficult question because a lot of Christians have problems with their faith, and I don't think God judges it for them. It's part of the struggle. If you were totally fake about it, no. Well, yes. So that's why we're specifically talking about me. So if somebody is convinced that they do believe, but they're not sure about those beliefs, or they're not, how they're not so deeply convicted in those beliefs and all that stuff, that's a different thing than what we're talking about. We're talking about the fact that, according to Pascal's wager, the expected value of believing in God is infinitely good, is heaven. But the wager says if you just go along with it, then that could be enough. And so theoretically, I could get to genuinely believing in God. Again, no matter how small, there is a chance that just by going to a church service one time, I'm converted. And so now the value of that lottery ticket is the same thing as if I'm actually believing in God. And so according to Pascal's wager, if God accepts you not believing but acting like you, or not, you not believing but pretending that you do, then it should be the exact same that you just go to church once and you're allowed in heaven. And again, that doesn't make sense. Hey, shout out to Anne. Welcome to the party. Good to see ya. Yeah, definitely. If you're talking about me, and I would be being fake about it because that's not what I believe. Even if it was a matter of like, you guys convince me. Okay, if I just fake it till I make it, then one day I will actually believe in God. Because that's not Kant, is it? I don't know. That's is it Kant? I don't know. One of the people that we covered with Philosophy Friday. We are going to get back to that stuff, I promise. But the fake it till you make it is something that theoretically could get you there, and you're just acting this way and you're living this way and you're reading the Bible even though you don't believe it, and then eventually you are converted. That's one thing. But I already know it's in the Bible. I already know it's there. So again, there is a non-zero chance that I get converted. But again, we're saying that by according to specifically Pascal's wager, then that is not how God works, because then just going to just going to church once would be enough. And so I was just talking about something similar last night with my mom and brother. It's in the air. It's in the air. We're mind melted. TV Viersky said Destiny would believe in God if he thought it would win an argument. Good one. Great. All right, let's finish up what Pascal's wager is. So I like this. I actually hadn't heard this part of it about it proving too much. That if we expect that believing in God gives us infinite benefit, and then there's a non-zero chance of converting by going to church one time, then the expected value of going to church one time should also be equal to that. And therefore, if I go to church one time, I've done enough to get into heaven, according to Pascal's wager.
Doesn't seem so crazy yet. But notice that there's also some non-zero chance that if you go to the beach tomorrow morning, right at dawn, you'll have a religious experience and be converted. The same is true of going to the mountains at dawn tomorrow, or for that matter, of riding a Ferris wheel, or playing the guitar, or brushing your teeth, or, well, anything at all. For every possible action you might perform, there's some chance that doing so will give you a religious experience and make you a believer. And so, by the same pattern of argument given before, every possible action has infinite expected value. This can't be right. For one thing, it has the consequence that every possible action has the same expected value as every other possible action. And so there's never any reason to do one thing rather than another. Given the absurdity of this conclusion,
like, that doesn't make sense. So just because I do a thing, that means I get to go like, whoa, that's getting really far away from what Christianity actually wants from you. Gridiron Master had said physically impossible, meaning that there is no conventional explanation. Yeah, that just means that like, just because there's not that's not what that means though. Physically impossible doesn't mean that there's no conventional explanation. That's not what those things mean. Those are two different things, because fire once had no conventional explanation, but at no point through history was fire physically impossible. Physically impossible means that no matter how you manipulate the laws of science, the matter of science, the matter of the universe, or the energy of no matter what, it cannot happen. Not that there is no explanation. An explanation is different from the thing. The thing is the thing. The explanation is explaining how the thing is done. Whether something is explainable is very different than whether it's possible. Can you explain how I can do this? Does that mean it's impossible? You don't know how I did that. You don't know how long it took me. You don't know what I had to practice to do that. You don't know but it's not impossible. I just did it. I'll do it again. Crazy. Steven, so there is no greater chance that God turns out to be all loving than all hating Satan, who rewards you for following the devil instead of Jesus. Yep, that was a big one that I think I want to get better at bringing that to Christians. That there's this, how do you know that the Bible isn't just the devil's handbook? How do you know that? You don't. Strudel convinced me God is real. Well, I mean, Strudel is divine, isn't it? Yeah, he sure doesn't come off as all loving in the Bible. At least not in the beginning, right? Not near the end either, but Carlos said my dad was an ordained minister and a teacher at a Pentecostal Bible college. We went to church 4 to 5 times a week and went out across the country to pioneer churches, like being military but poor. Oh, yeah, that sounds like fun. That sounds like a good childhood. I mean, not been there, but I mean, you know, I certainly spent some nights out doing some stuff I didn't want to do for some people that didn't care that I was doing, for some stuff that I thought I believed in that I never, ever did.
It seems this line of reasoning must go wrong somewhere, but I'll leave it to you to think through exactly where it does go wrong. To conclude, I'll describe a different version of Pascal's wager, which may avoid some of the objections mentioned so far. There's some evidence that this version is closer to the argument as Pascal himself actually intended it. We start off with the same first premise. If God exists, you're better off as a believer than as a non-believer. But the second premise of this argument is different. It claims that even if God doesn't exist, you're still better off as a believer than as a non-believer. If so, then you're better off as a believer, whether or not God exists, and so you should believe in God.
I want to pause it on that. Yeah. So King is asking if Pascal was talking about a specific God. No. So it was just the concept of a God. So you would apply that to whichever God you are talking about, which is exactly why we run into the issue of which God are you talking about. But let's see what we got here. So yeah, the premise one: if God exists, you're better off as a believer than a non-believer. Fair. Okay. Premise two: even if God doesn't exist, you're better off as a believer than a non-believer. And again, if we are assuming that if we're assuming that Christianity exists, well, then of course. But there are when it comes to your ability to think about things differently, then I disagree with the fact that even if God doesn't exist, you're better off as a believer than a non-believer. I would need that to be verified in some way. And so that's because you're viewing it from a Christian lens. I'm not anti-Christian, but I'm anti anyone who denies critical thinking, even as it relates to the Bible. Critical thinking definitely has its limits, especially in the Bible. Shout out to James Q Legend. Welcome to the party. Said, except for delusion and all things delusion leads to. So then you are never better off as a believer. Exactly. Yep. Except for delusion. Belief informs actions. If you don't believe that there's a bus coming down the street as you're about to cross it, that's not going to work out so well for you. So I definitely understand from the Christian perspective, in terms of God, in terms of getting into heaven, yes, you're better off being a believer, even if there's no God. In that very, 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 very narrow context. Once we step outside of that, then of course it makes absolutely no sense. So let's dive back into grief. We were talking about grief.
Unlike the religious, who can soothe their grief with delusions of grandeur and who are convinced must only find a way to say goodbye for now, we must soothe our grief with science, art, and philosophy and find a way to say goodbye forever. Now, I'm no expert on death, but I nevertheless want to share with you my perspective on the subject in the hope that it will one day help you. Or more accurately, both I and the vibrant YouTuber Rachel Oates want to do this. This is Grief Without Belief, how to deal with death as an atheist. In dealing with death, we're really dealing with two relevant but distinct facts. The first is our own demise, and the second is that of our loved ones. Let's start with our own. The realization that we are going to die, that our consciousness and all of our memories will one day permanently cease to exist, is absolutely terrifying.
And it should be to anybody. That is terrifying just because of how unknown that is. We don't know what happens. And so, of course, it's reasonable to want to demand answers for what happens after we die, even if we don't have any of those answers.
And it's meant to be. We have distinctly evolved to avoid and fear death, and so it's no surprise that we don't want to relinquish all that we are. As someone who's never been religious, I was once terrified by death, and so I can only imagine that for those of you who used to have comforting delusions, that death is all the more scarier. In fact, this reminds me of an analogy that I used within my collaboration with Genetically Modified Skeptic. If you were brought up to believe that death is an illusion and that you'll live forever in paradise, then you were brought up to believe that you had won the lottery.
And what were we just talking about? The lottery. And what were we just saying about the lottery? It's a goddamn scam. Shout out to Zippy DSM Lee. Welcome to the party. Good to see you. Excuse me. Zippy, it says life and death are normal. Forever is not. So you understand death is a part of life and you move on. If you're religious, then you blame or defer to God. Why make life and death more complex than it is? I agree. And I was saying before that it seems like there's a lot of religious people who seem to believe in this idea of a heavenly afterlife, but still get caught up in so much sadness when someone dies, which doesn't fully make sense. It doesn't really make sense. What are you so sad about? They're just going somewhere else until you meet them again, is what you think, right? Like I don't get it.
And that you'll live forever in paradise, then you were brought up to believe that you had won the lottery. And only now, after planning your whole life on the assumption you're rich, have you found out that you're poor. While you haven't lost anything physical, you have lost something psychological. You've lost, to be perhaps a bit blunt, the perfection of narcissism that comes with religion.
Yep.
The idea that everything is created with you in mind and that you'll never die. But as for fearing death itself, I promise you that it's irrational. The evidence overwhelmingly indicates that you've got absolutely nothing to worry about. Of course, the process of dying might unfortunately be horrendous, but that's the price of.
That's a big difference. That's a big difference. Being afraid to die is a very, very, very rational fear. Being afraid of death is also a rational fear, but it's one that should be a lot easier to overcome because, as Zippy was saying, it is what it is, and you're gonna be dead. You're gonna be dead. Either you're gonna be dead, or you're gonna be up in some utopia. Stephen said, if you're raised in a culture and family with one predominant faith, what is the benefit in bucking the trend? Finding the truth. Carl said, I think for most people, no afterlife is less scary than an afterlife, even Christians. Agreed. An afterlife entails a whole lot more earthly responsibility for your action. I think, wait. No afterlife is less scary. So afterlife is more, okay. So you're saying, so the afterlife is, okay, I guess, okay, that makes sense. The idea that you have to be accountable. Okay, okay, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Nobody's ever put it that way. Thank you. James said, talking to Stephen, that culture will tell you how and who to have sex with. It always tells you things that enjoy or wrong. Well, and again, this has nothing to do with atheism. This has to do with the lack of values. People who leave religion have. So I agree that all those stuff is very, 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 very bad. But as long as we continue to put it on the position of not being convinced that a God exists, instead of the hedonism of picking up doing bad things, we will continue to misappropriate how to fix those things. And said, simple-minded people relate a complex existence to complication or chaos. I don't believe in an afterlife the way that Christians believe. Interesting. Yeah, everybody's got their own kind of thought about it, right? He says, why does he assume the religious know what God have planned? He doesn't, they do. They're the ones who are like, here's God's plan, it's right in the book. At best, man can calculate what God has said, but I guess religion breaks calculations. Well, that's what they're saying. They believe that. As long as you don't believe in hell, and afterlife is appealing to most people. Yeah. That's the big one. And conveniently, that's how things have been switched around in the I don't know what timeline, the last 20 years or so. I've heard a lot more churches being like, oh yeah, we don't believe in that hell stuff anymore. What do you mean? What do you mean? Gridiron said, I thought of an interesting idea. If time is eternal, will matter eventually rearrange itself identically into yourself? And would that reanimate your exact consciousness or be a new instance? That is an interesting idea. I definitely don't have an answer for you there, but it is certainly an interesting idea. Like, so if it's just a loop and everything's, just looping around itself, well, so then the question then becomes, what would make it a different you and what would make it the same you? I'm leaning towards the idea of it being the same you because you're having the same, like the same process of experiences. That's all. The experience of your life is happening in the same exact way. So it would, or maybe it would be both. It would be a new instance of the exact same consciousness. We solved it. We fixed it. Great thought though. That's an interesting one.
Process of dying might unfortunately be horrendous, but that's the price of life. Death itself, however, need not scare you.
But here we go again. James saying an afterlife, no matter how appealing, is simply not there. Okay, how do you know that? Who died and was like, nah, bro, we ain't got nothing over here. We just dying. How do you know that? Zippy says, man assumes God, thus assumes rules, then misappropriates rules. The folly of man is not God, but man. Yeah, right. We don't, but yeah, we definitely don't know that. But yeah, how do you know that there's no afterlife? I would love to be able to know for sure.
That's the price of life. Death itself, however, need not scare you. It's often said that dying is like going to sleep for a very long time, but if I'm brutally
That sounds like heaven.
honest, I've always found this rhetoric terrifying, boring, and above all, simply not true. Sleep is a state of altered consciousness and inhibited sensory activity.
Okay, bro, but like, come on. You know what people mean. They don't mean you are asleep. They just mean in the same way that you're not consciously there when you're asleep. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. But all right, let's see you big brain. Oh, it's not like you're actually sleeping, because when you're sleeping, you're alive. Shut up.
Sleep is a state of altered consciousness and inhibited sensory activity, whereas death is the absence of consciousness and sensory activity.
See, I get the same goddamn frustrations with some of these atheists, especially the intellectual, the overly hyper or quasi-intellectual ones. Like, come on, bro. Come on. This is why people hate atheists. This is why people hate atheists. You know exactly what the fuck people mean.
Being dead is not like being asleep, and we don't have to experience death to know.
Okay, then how the fuck do you know that?
This. But rant aside, I think that Mark Twain perhaps put best why we ought not fear death. He once remarked that.
All right, so we got an answer. Interesting. Where'd I go? James said, I was told there is no afterlife by an all-knowing, all-powerful being. He told it to me as I was excavating the Tower of Babel. How do you know it was an all-powerful being? Zippy says, I assume God is an amalgam, but that's my assumption. Leave my blankie alone. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Mark Twain perhaps put best why we ought not fear death. He once remarked that, I do not fear death. I had been dead for billions and billions of years before I was born, and had not suffered the slightest inconvenience from it. Of course, this isn't.
Yeah, I mean, why would you think? Why would you think that there is any reason to know? Like, yeah, why would you know? And exactly, I'm with Stephen Colbert here. Is that I am almost as sure, if not even as sure, if not even more sure than you are, James. But believe in nothing except that anything is possible. Oh, he beat you. Oh, okay. Never mind. I guess he's right then. I guess he was all powerful.
Isn't technically true, because a prerequisite of death is that one must have previously been alive. But the essence is true. Your consciousness and memories did not exist.
So you can understand the essence. The essence is there. You can understand it when Mark Twain says it. But when average people are just trying to, talk casually, like, yeah, it's just like being asleep for a long time. You're like, well, technically, no. This is why people hate atheists.
True, because a prerequisite of death is that one must have previously been alive. But the essence is true. Your consciousness and memories did not exist before your birth, and you did not suffer the slightest inconvenience from it. And so in death, when your consciousness and memories evaporate, it'll almost certainly be the same. You really need not fear death. So that's my primary thoughts regarding my own death. And for what it's worth, I hope that you got something out of it. But in case you didn't, here's Rachel to give you her thoughts.
As an atheist, obviously I don't believe in an afterlife. So to me, that makes this life all the more important and meaningful.
Yeah, that's a big one for me about if you do believe in a heaven. And it's that encompassing and it's that much of a focus of your waking life meaning just the life that we share on this earth that we know that we have. It's like you're treating life as a waiting room. Like, I'm just here, none of this really matters. Yeah, I'll fill out the forms, I'll do whatever I gotta do, but like once I go behind the door, that's what I'm really here for. And like, that's really sad to me. That's really, really sad, because I know plenty of, you guys included, plenty of Christians who live full lives and don't make their whole life about what's going to happen when they die, and still based on let's say an average understanding of like, yeah, God wants you to believe in him, accept Jesus, be a good person, you'll get into heaven. On that basic understanding, you're wasting so much time. But it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter, because this is just Earth. That's sad to me. Am said, the more research, the more I come back to the conclusion that God was actually God's, and that mistranslation of the Bible has some very bad implications. What makes you say that? Because there was monotheistic religions before. I don't know how much in contact they had with the people who were writing the Bible and coming up with Judaism and Christianity and Islam and all that stuff. But that's interesting. So he says humans try and seek something more. This is God instinct. It can simply be quantified as a connection that drive to see humanity in random things. What does God have to do with it? Why is that a God instinct? Why is that not a people instinct? Why is that not a random instinct? Why is that not a drive instinct? Why is that not a connection instinct? What makes it a God instinct? This is what I don't get. Like, why are you just throwing words in there that you know are bad words? That is a bad word. By naming something a God instinct, when you know that we don't have a good definition for what God is, you are the one now complicating things that don't need to be complicated. What the fuck does that mean? How does that help anybody? That helps no one. That helps no one. You're not saying anything, dude. I don't understand. I don't understand why you think this would be a smart thing to type to me. Are you trying to trigger me? Come on, man. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because guess what? Jupiter is beyond man. Is Jupiter God? No. I don't get it. I don't get it. Stop. Like, you have better words. I know you have better words. I know you have better words.
I believe in an afterlife. So to me, that makes this life all the more important and meaningful. It's our one and only life. It's our only opportunity, and I believe that we should make the most of that.
And even if she's wrong, doesn't that go back to Pascal's wager? Well, that doesn't mean that God doesn't exist. Shut up, you fucking piece of shit. And said the translation was from King James translators that were limited at the time. Since it's been identified that those is that El is deity and Elohim is with the plurality equals deities, which explains text in Genesis. That'll make a lot of sense. Would kind of undercut a lot of there's only one God, that whole thing. But yeah, and that's why I'm very much open to when I get it from the other side, and we talk to liberals, and when I talk to liberals and atheists, like why are you so willing to engage on the realm? I mean, not if somebody's gonna say some stupid shit like this, a God instinct, because we want to see things and things. But if you're talking about, oh well, God wants us to do this, or getting closer to God is that. Like, I don't need to I don't need to argue semantics with you in that context, because I understand in general what you mean. But don't we want to get better at just understanding people in general? Don't we want to be able to have the words to be able to talk to each other and know what the fuck we're saying, instead of just hoping that the thing that I know that I said goes out there and hopefully become a thank you.
And only life is our only opportunity, and I believe that we should make the most of that and enjoy that to the fullest. Now, I don't really want to put too much of a downer on things, but this idea of like death and grief is a pretty serious topic, and because of that, I do want to talk about something quite serious, and it's a bit of a personal story, and it's a difficult one to tell, but I feel it's an important one to kind of illustrate where I'm coming from with this view, and it's about something that's important in helping me become the person I am today, and also in helping me form a lot of the views and opinions I have today. And I know Stephen was all lovely before, and he's just like, oh, I'm a vibrant person. And now I feel like I'm going to put a big downer on that. But I think it's an important thing to talk about. I spent quite a few of the last few years feeling quite sad. And I've had to take some form of like antidepressant or anti-anxiety medication for the last 5 or so years. I still take them today now, but it just took a lot of time to find the right one that worked for me, and I tried out a few different ones, and I've seen counselors, and I've worked through a lot of things, and
let me pause here, and we talk about how so many liberal women are on these medications, and it is getting hot up here. So many liberal women are on these medications, and are messed up with this and that, and I don't know how we could say that religious trauma, so to speak, is not part of that. We don't have the resources for people who no longer believe. Nobody's saying you have to stop. We're saying there are people who once believed who now no longer believe. And that is a scary place to be. And so maybe it's in all of our best interests, since we know there are going to be people who leave the religion, that for those people, we have something different than religion. Instead of them just going to the state and the experts and the science and the drugs. Just saying.
The right one that worked for me. I tried out a few different ones, and I've seen counselors, and I've worked through a lot of things, and I'm in a really, really great place today. But at some of my lowest points over the last few years, let's just say death, or more specifically my own death, was something that I thought a hell of a lot about. When you're in a bad place like that, and when you're not really happy, and when you consider that the alternative is this eternity of nothingness, that sounds very, very appealing. That's like everything you want, you know? Like Stephen just said, like in death, your consciousness and your memories, they don't exist. And further than that, like your feelings don't exist, your anxieties don't exist, none of it. And you can argue, well, also that means, you know, no more happiness. But at the same time, it also means no more hurt. And at the time,
that was the biggest thing. That was the biggest thing. And I mean, maybe this speaks to what kind of childhood I had. But when I was there, when my best friend died, and everybody else was just in shambles, and I mean, I was too. But I had a happiness for him because exactly what she said. Yeah, okay, maybe he's never gonna get to smoke a blunt again. Maybe he's never gonna get to go see a movie again. He definitely would have wanted to see the end of Breaking Bad. But he's just free. He will never, ever, ever hurt again. He will never cry again. He will never feel badly again. And how could I be sad at that? How could I be sad at that? Shout out to Funk Master General. Welcome to the party, sir. Said I died and went to heaven once, one time. There was no ice cream, so I came back. Oh, there it is. There it is. The proof that there is indeed an afterlife, but it's not heaven because there's no ice cream. And there we go. Thank you so much from the Funk Master General, a true disciple. I think our only true disciple at that level, and of course making donations every single time. And thank you so very, very much. And yeah, we were talking earlier. Buckmaster reached out to ask about Papa Lutch. I really do appreciate that, man. Welcome to the party. And again, if you are just joining us, just to clear up any confusion, nobody in my life or my family is dying or has died recently. Just between Morty here having been in the ER last month, and my dad being in the ER. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago? Yesterday? What day is it? I don't even know. Thanksgiving. Then 2 days ago. Then it just had me thinking about how I wonder if you guys think about if Papa Lutch dies or if Morty dies, is Lutch gonna start being a Christian? No. No. But I mean, hey, if they get some ice cream up there, maybe. Thank you so very, very much. And of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream. Thank you, sir. Am said, I think religion is the method of control imposed by those who want control. That Wilson clip fucked me up. How shameful to be boastful and ostracize a sinner when we all sin. Wilson clip. Which Wilson clip? Wilson. Yeah, I probably know what you're talking about if you're saying it like that. I just don't remember. I have no idea how to read that, but welcome. It looks like the pie sign in your profile picture, so I'm going to call you Pie. Life of Pie, good to see us. I'm in love with myself. I want to marry me. That is the way to be. There you go. Be like Pie. Be like, yeah, and then do you. Literally. There we go. And of course, let's celebrate. Let's celebrate Buckmaster General's third super chat on a live stream. Andrew Wilson. Gotcha. Good call. Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's pull that up. Let's go here. Because yeah, that was good call, Am. That was wild. That was like. Yeah, King, I think you're right. And even if not, then this is another perfect example. So let's do Ray, Andrew Wilson, not a Christian. Hopefully the thumbnail will give I think this is what we're looking for. All right, hold on. Yep. And of course, even though it's the Whatever Podcast, every single time we watch a video, we of course have to hit the like button. Because why would we not want to do that? Boom. But liked. Yeah. Carl says the clip where he criticized. Yup. Shout out to Black Salami TV. Welcome to the party. So have you read the Bible or the Gospels within it of Jesus' story? Yep, that was a big eye opener. That was a big eye opener because it wasn't until I had gone to college and I was still a strong believer, but I had never sat down and read the Bible, and so I was like, all right, well, let's do this. I was actually doing it for the purposes of a podcast. I had my first podcast. We should do that one day. And I was like, let's just go through it and we'll document, like, both me and my co-host at the time were atheists who were brought up in the church, and neither of us had read the Bible. So we were like, all right, let's do it. In terms of the podcast, we didn't get that far in terms of doing it, but yeah. We're right all the way through. It's been a minute. But I did make it through. Welcome. But yes, this is the clip we are talking about. Let's check it out.
It is you get to.
Someone donated $200.
Okay.
P.S. Do not talk about fruits of the spirit if you did not give back all of that money.
Oh, can I please talk on this?
Wait, do you still have, question really quick, do you still have someone, thank you for the TTS, do you still have your Lamborghini Urus?
No, I don't. I sold everything. I sold my house. I sold my cars. I sold all the designer things I had.
Put a one in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if you think Nala is legit, and put a 2 if you think she's bullshit. 1 if she's legit.
I sold my house. I sold my cars. I sold all the designer things I had.
If you wanted to throw the Lambo my way, I'll take the Lambo.
I will also take a
Lambo for free.
So I'd love to hit on this topic. So many people are like, you're not Christian unless you give back all the money. Let me break down the money for you. So number one, I was living in California while I was making this money. California tax ridiculously insane. Only takes what, 20%? OnlyFans takes 25% of what you make. It didn't matter how much of what I made my gross income that got. So my gross income got taxed 25%. So 25% of that got taken out. Then the tax I pay in California. Then
what you talking about, Willis? I may have been the comment that converted her, or convinced her. What comment was that? And so that's why I no longer align with Christianity. It's a bunch of fake ass judgmental people who just want to feel better than those they convert. It's pathetic. Hell yeah, dilly to that. Dilly, motherfucking dilly. Dilly. King said Nala was very you mean more articulate than I imagined? Dog whistle, is she black? Is that what we're doing? Am said I believe her. Carl said it's nothing personal. If a gay corn star or trans goofball became Christian, we would not want them to be the face of our movement. They should be in a monastery somewhere for a couple of years. Oh, did you? Okay. Well, but yeah, but so do you think she's legit or not? That was the question. Not what do you think she should be doing with her life?
25% of that got taken out. Then the tax I pay in California. Then the creator people that I was with took 50%. The agency took 50% of what I made. So you're left with all of that. Whatever's left out of all of that taxed. It's not like I just got $9 million. All of that got taxed 3 ways. And then whatever was left got sent to me. So, and no, you are not required, and nowhere in the Bible does it say. So there was this one man that Jesus told to sell all his belongings to and follow him. There was one man. That is not a stipulation for all Christians to sell everything that you have and then go follow Christ. If Christ told me to sell everything, which I've already sold everything, and follow him, I will. However, giving up all your money is not a requirement to be able to follow Christ. So if you're not a Christian or you are a Christian and you're saying this, you need to get that out of your head. Because if God specifically told me, like reached down and told me, you know what, you need to be homeless in order to follow me, I'd be like, you know what, I know you'll provide for me no matter what, I'll be homeless.
That, I mean, from the atheist, that's fucking based. That's based. That is and exactly to what Am was just talking about. Where is it? Exactly what Am was just saying here. Like, if that was the type of attitudes around Christianity that I saw more often than not, and to be fair, I do think there is, I'll say, a plurality, but just like with the atheists, it's the loud ones like the Wilsons who fucking ruin it for everybody. And so it's the exact same thing.
But I do not feel called to do that. Regardless of that, I have sold
That's convenient. But
everything I own. I literally drive a Jeep now, and I live in South Carolina. So
I mean, a lot of people would love to. Okay, I'm doing my best. I'm on her side. She's right here.
what do you got to say, Andrew? I'm really I'm so
Well,
intrigued.
I'm just gonna follow up on the super chatter. By the way, I mean, I don't even know why you're so hostile with me. We haven't even really disagreed.
Because that's bullshit. That's bullshit. You know, Andrew, that you're not the first person who has fucking said this. You know that you're not the first person who brought that up. Well, I don't know why you're so defensive. It's not like the entire world is saying you're full of shit. I don't know why you're defensive. Yes, the fuck you do. Black Salami said Christians are not told to look down on others, and the idea Christians are is only for people's own ego, not at all to do with the religion. We are all one and equal in Christ. I don't think I'm better than you. There you go. Carl said I can't tell if she's telling the truth. It's just that she needs time to reflect before becoming a public spokesperson for Christianity. I'm not judging her. Why? I'm not saying I agree or disagree, but why? Why should she not spread the good word? Yeah, right. I mean, when I still have my Chrysler, I'd be like, yo, give me that Jeep right now. After getting my Sentra and then losing my Sentra and getting my Sentra back, nah, I'm good with the Sentra. But yeah, Carl, why is it? Why is this? And again, you gave me a good answer before, and I was like, oh yeah, good answer. So I'm not challenging you. I'm just asking for an answer.
Follow up on the super chatter. By the way, I mean, I don't even know why you're so hostile with me. We haven't even really disagreed about anything most of the night.
Sure.
Most of the night. No.
But like, anybody could lie. Any Christian could lie. Why is she different?
No, absolutely. But my thing with you is that like how not even degrading, but like when I came on last, you were so hostile towards me and what I did. And there was no love in your heart from me.
That was good.
And so as a Christian, you think it's okay.
You were a lying, deceiving prostitute. And you're like, Andrew, why weren't you just nice? Like, what are you talking about? Good.
Oof. Bro, even I know that Jesus was nice to the whores. Come on, bro.
Question. Didn't Jesus wash the feet of prostitutes or something?
By your own admission,
Jesus got washed his feet.
Deceiving, deceitful, satanic prostitute by your own admission.
Satanic.
Wow, that's a new one. That's a new one.
Hang on, Nala. You told me.
Yes, Andrew.
You told me that
unvetted by who? Wait. Unvetted by who? Who does the vetting? I didn't know there was vetting involved. I thought if you had a relationship with Jesus Christ, you're a Christian. I thought if you gave your heart to Jesus Christ, you're a Christian. Who does vetting? I was never vetted. Does that mean I was never really a Christian, even though I happened to be telling the truth? I could have been lying. Was I not a real Christian? Like this is you. I don't know why you said that, because you know that's not what you think. You know that's not what you think. You don't have to just throw out an answer because there's a question. You're allowed to say, I don't know. You're right. That is a good question. I don't have an answer. She's unvetted. What the fuck are you talking about? Unvetted.
Yes, Andrew.
You told me that you had faith in Jesus Christ then, that your parents were pastors, that you had faith then.
You're getting it wrong already. So to unmisquote
you were going to do it.
You can play the quote. You can play the clip if you want.
Let me finish, and you can respond. Okay. You said even then that you knew the truth, but you turned away anyway. Okay, so that you could basically make money. Now you say now, okay, well, listen, that was all a character. I'm willing to believe that. I didn't ever say that you weren't playing a character. I'm willing to totally and completely believe you. Okay. But there's no way for me to determine that. I can only determine things based on what you said.
And we were already talking about Andrew Wilson.
So you say to me, well, I'm a degenerate prostitute who lies about everything. Right. And it's like, okay.
Again, I'm not asking your opinion, Carl. I'm just asking you who said this? Where are you getting this from? Who said that you needed to be vetted? Who said that somebody in any realm of life who is legitimately accepting of Christ is not a legitimate spokesperson. Where are you getting that from? Who told you that? Shout out to Arrow. Welcome to the party. Said, I trust no one other than myself and the infinite wisdom. Alrighty. Welcome. Which church doctrine? That's what I'm asking you. That's the question. Black Salami TV said she can't damage Christianity even if she's lying. It's honestly irrelevant if she is or not. But I think it is genuine personally. I agree. She's actually a great light for anyone in a similar position. Exactly. Is she an Orthodox Christian? I don't think so.
What did you want me to say to that? What would you have wanted me
So
to
number
say?
one,
Yeah.
you-
So in that rant, so would you prefer that she just doesn't? Because again, yes, I understand that you want her to go to somewhere and flagellate herself for 20 years before she says a word. I get it. I get your opinion. But yes, I'm being facetious. I get that. That's what you're saying. But what is the justification? Or actually, no. Let me back up. Let's go back to the idea of practicality. That's not going to happen. So is it better that she continues on OF doing what she was doing? Or is it better that she starts talking about God, in your opinion? You guys are so solipsistic. Like, look beyond the step right in front of you. I promise you, your life will be better.
Say that. What would you have wanted me to say?
So number one,
to that?
you completely misquoted me. I never once said back then that I lied. Number two, I never said that I knew what to do and knew how to follow Christ. I said that I was hurt by the church. I said that my dad was a pastor before I started OnlyFans. So there's the clarification on that. I was hurt by the church. I've been through three.
Your dad knew.
Can
Your
you
dad
play the
knew and
clip?
he was
Because
good with
this
it.
is crap.
I recently watched the clip. Did you say that your
you
dad's
said
being a
that
pastor when you're
your dad knew
18
and
years
was
old?
okay with
He
it.
is so insufferable. So insufferable.
Yeah. This clip.
No,
And I
wait,
wasn't on
let me finish.
OnlyFans.
You said that I was a bad father because I would disown, unlike your father, right? Because I would disown my child based on some.
I'm not saying you as a father should condone what your kid was doing on OnlyFans. But you keep interrupting what I have to say. So it's like,
I won't interrupt you. Okay, so just listen to what I'm saying. You literally made this comparison. You said you're a bad father if you do A, C, and D. I said, does your father know you do OnlyFans? You said yes, and he's fine with it because you take care of him, right? That's what you told me.
oh, absolutely.
That your father was fine with you doing OnlyFans.
So
is that a lie?
No. Listen. I don't think as a father you should disown your kid because of what they turn out to be. That's not their real plan. Do you think I wanted to be on OnlyFans the rest
Why
of my
does
life?
Jesus send people to
Absolutely.
hell?
Once again, interrupting me, like I just said. So if you want me to finish my statement and respect me as an adult, that would be great. So anyway,
Get it, girl.
my dad accepted me as his daughter. Yes, I was supporting him financially. Was that right that he told me and actually encouraging me to stay on OnlyFans? Absolutely not. I was saying it was wrong for you to disown your child just because of their life choices. You said that you would literally stop talking to them. And how right is that as a father to guide your child when the Bible literally says, train up a child in the way that they should go? But you said if your daughter did OnlyFans, you would completely disown her. So how is what you would do biblical?
I'm going to explain. It's called consequences. And there's always consequences. If you look at
I can't. But I mean, obviously this goes on, and exactly what Nam is talking about here is I'm really glad that somebody who, from what I understand, has a pretty strong faith in divinity and stuff like that. And please, Nam, correct me if I'm wrong. The seeing that there's a separation between the values, and there's I started calling them the Champagne Christians. This idea that you are just like the Champagne Socialist, where it's like, oh well, everybody else, those are those rules for you, but I'm already in the club, so like I'm good. Like that's not how it is. Like you can believe that stuff, but that's not what Christianity is. Or I guess no. Let me take that back. If that's what Christianity is, that is certainly not what most average people who call themselves Christians believe. So either way, you got to disconnect. And I'm here to fix it. I said I have a good dad, which I am thankful for. I said, shit, me too. Dilly dilly to the good dads. He has told me, "I love you almost unconditionally." Yeah, that, and we need to hear it, right? You know, when we're young, when we're older, boy, girl, whatever. You know, sometimes we definitely got to hear that shit. Black Salami said, "I reserve the right to judge as a human, not a god. When someone RPs a kid, that's totally wrong, and I'm allowed to judge that. You are meant to judge right and wrong." Very fair. Very fair. All right, let's go back to what we are originally talking about. Going to grief. So she was essentially, this girl was essentially saying that, you know, we were talking about death and the idea that when you die, all your pain, all the bad stuff that comes, life is pain, right? All the bad stuff that comes with life is gone, just like all the good stuff. But you're not going to miss any of the good stuff because you're going to be dead.
Means, you know, no more happiness. But at the same time, it also means no more hurt. And at the time, that sounded so appealing. And not to sound horrible, but I kind of like made peace with this idea of dying. Like it wouldn't, like it would be okay. It wouldn't be so bad. Like
put one in the chat if you've had thoughts like this before the age of 12. Before the age of 12, what this girl is talking about. Put a 1 in the chat if you've had those thoughts before the age of 12. Let's run it back a little bit just to hear what she's saying.
Exist. And further than that, like your feelings don't exist, your anxieties don't exist, none of it. And you can argue, well, so that means, you know, no more happiness. But at the same time, it also means no more hurt. And at the time, that sounded so appealing. And not to sound horrible, but I kind of like made peace with this idea of dying. Like it wouldn't
be so bad.
Like it would be okay. It wouldn't be so.
Wait, is she about to say that?
Bad.
Exactly. It wouldn't be so bad. So I just want to, I'm looking up, I don't see any ones in the chat. I don't see any ones in the chat. So again, what I would like to point your attention to is the fact that people who come from religion deal with this stuff. And you just being like, nah, you're wrong, doesn't help anybody. Shout out to Kay Roach. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. Giving us some scripture from Matthew 7:3. Judge not lest you be judged, for by the measure in you judge, you will be judged. That's the most misquoted verse of the entire Bible. It doesn't say don't judge. It says judge rightly. And Black Salami grace. And said, I absolutely believe in God, and I've had a relationship with him all my life. If I hadn't, I wouldn't be a functioning person. You don't have a counterfactual, but what's sorry. Okay. If I hadn't, I wouldn't have been I wouldn't be a functioning person. So doctrine to me is the epitome of corruption. Great. I was going to practice discernment. I'm not the boss of anyone. It's not a question of belief. I just know, and that's enough for me. Carl said she didn't cover her head with shame and go get a real job. She started a grift on Christians while blaming her religious family and how awful they were. Wow. Now, let's take a step back, Carl. I'm very much with you in terms of, in general, looking at what I've just called the champagne Christians and seeing how there are a lot of people doing that. I think the balance is being able to make that what's the word that you discernment. There you go. Making that discernment of whether she's legit or not, but understanding it's not your place to go out and say, oh, she's full of shit. That's, I think, the difference. Shout out to Robert Willing. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. What theology? Any and all. I think most people here are Christians. I am a recovering Christian. I am an atheist. But you know, have a very high value in certain religious values and not in some others. But you know, we can talk about that. Welcome to the party. Yes, Am said discernment is important, but Jesus Christ of Nazareth led with love, compassion, and forgiveness. Okay, I thought that was for me. I was like, I did not. Okay, I don't know. I don't know about all that. I don't know about all that. I don't think that's a fair judgment. But you know, I just think it's fair. I think on the one hand, it's fair to say, like, hold on, are you being legitimate about this, while also saying, like, okay, well, I'm not the one to say you can't be doing this. Like, I'm gonna be sitting and waiting. And if and when your grift is exposed, I ain't gonna feel bad at all. I think that's a much different position. K. Roach said, he also said not to cast your pearls to swine. Dust your feet off from the non-believer's house and move on. Called the Samaritans dogs and led Pharisees and Sadducees, vipers, and of Beelzebub. Yeah, I'm lost a little bit at the end. I'm not dunking on, who's dunking on Christians? Ain't nobody dunking on Christians. I mean, we're dunking on Carl a little bit. We're dunking on Nala a little bit. But we having fun. We having fun. But no, in general, we're just talking about, I had some recent things in my life where death may have been, on the table, or something something that I would have had to deal with, and realizing that a lot of my audience is Christian and I'm not. I thought, let's talk about it. But again, I will point out that so many people who come from the church experience the type of things that she's talking about. And so if we don't have something for those people, they will become crazy atheists or crazy leftists on antidepressants and all that fucking bullshit.
There was nothing to be scared of. It was like my own death wasn't something to fear anymore, right? It was actually, it seemed like a pretty appealing solution.
Not right now.
But it was only when one of my counselors started asking me all these questions that I began to kind of change my mind about that. She got me to think about my best friend at the time, James. And I still love James to bits. He's an amazing person. But she started asking me how I'd feel if James started saying the same things and if he started to come to these conclusions. And at first I was just like, oh, well, if he's made peace with it and he thinks it's best for him, then, why does my opinion matter? And then she was like, okay, that's fine. Good for James. He's sorted. But now you're left without him. How do you feel? And that was like when it hit me.
Put a 1 in the chat if you're not following her at all. Fuck it. I'm just gonna. I don't know what she's saying. I'm gonna just get back to dude here. I don't know what she's saying. She's rambling. Well, we were good friends. We weren't great friends.
We're not worried about what's going to happen after. We just know we have to
move on back to homeboy.
Cheers, Rachel. Very insightful and much appreciated. So,
was it though?
Now that we've addressed our own demise, let's move on to what is, in my opinion, the harder fact of death: the demise of our loved ones. Now,
and again, this is what started this, the idea of dealing with other people's death, not our own death. So
since the topic of death is personal, I feel like it's only right that I speak about it personally. Plus, this will illustrate that for all my use of rationality, I am yet still human. A few months ago, my hero and grandfather, Tony Mill.
Oh my God. I get it, guys. I get it. How insufferable some of these atheists are. Well, with all my logic and rationality, I am, in fact, still human. Shut up!
Plus, this will illustrate that for all my use of rationality, I am yet still human.
And if that was a joke, deliver it better.
A few months ago, my hero and grandfather, Tony Mills, who I loved very much, sadly passed away due to prostate cancer. And during the months leading to his death, me and his loved ones had to witness him slowly but surely lose his dignity, memory, sanity, and hope, until there was nothing left but a cold and lifeless husk. Truly, it was a ghastly experience, but it's unfortunately not a rare one. Since cancer is the second leading cause of death, it's very likely that...
Let's give a big... Oh, did I hit the wrong one? There we go. A big shout out to our sponsor. I forgot to update the banner before, as I always do, and he still blesses me. Shout out to the Bump Master General. Thank you so very, very much. Guys, don't forget about Morty over here. He's getting hungry.
L1. Since cancer is the second leading cause of death, it's very likely that you too have either had this experience or sadly one day will. And just as a side note, please know that you're not alone. Reach out to people, even if it's just on a forum or through the comment section of this video. You really are not alone.
So, and this is exactly why we're doing this. As I don't get how atheists deny their maker, it sounds so lonely and hostile. But that's because you are thinking of it as a rejection. I don't believe that there is a maker to reject. And I mean, lonely is, I don't know why it would be lonely. Like there's other people that I know. So that's, and then what is hostile about it? It's just the like, I just don't believe that that's a thing. So what's hostile about that? In the same way that you don't believe in leprechauns, right? If I was like, well, that sounds lonely and hostile. Why would that be lonely and hostile? Black Salami said, I urge you all to read the CIA Gateway Experience and how it proves we have souls that can leave our physical bodies, as well as reveals human superpowers. We will definitely have to check that out. Funk said, riding a motorcycle with prostate cancer must be rough. Definitely not getting far between whiz breaks. Well, that's why you gotta go fast. That's why you need the bike for.
Forum or through the comment section of this video. You really are not alone. Now, I'm very fortunate in the fact that a considerable proportion of my family are non-religious, and so I didn't feel alone.
Luckily,
I had people around me that also acknowledged that they had had their last ever conversation with Tony, and that they will never see him again. And this helped me a lot. My religious family, however, while of course grieving, took comfort in what is to me meaningless drivel. They told me that he's looking down on you with pride, and that you'll be reunited with him one day.
Will I though? How do you know that?
Family member even told me that he's up there with his old pet donkey. I mean, just how gullible can you get? I know that we're a stupid ape, but this just never ceases to surprise me. And yes, my grandfather used to have a pet donkey. Anyhow, as part of my grieving process, I reflected long and hard about the finality of his death, and it led me to write the following, which I'd like to share with you for a reason that I'll explain afterwards. After kicking cancer's ass for years, telling everybody that he's got radioactive balls, and smiling throughout, Tony has unfortunately lost his battle, and we have lost a light that will forever darken the world, and I have lost the greatest man that I have ever known. Still, the lessons he taught me shine through in this very moment, for I know that because he shaped so many of us with his kindness, decency, and love, he lives on through us, not consciously, of course, but through the parts of us that he shaped and inspired. And so, in a very real sense, he's gone, but not gone. And I don't know about you, but I will forever recognize the parts of me that he shaped and smile each and every time I do. I will miss you, Grandad, and I will always love you.
So again, Arrow, I will ask, what is hostile about that? I'm not understanding what's hostile about that.
Now, I don't mean to drop an emotional bomb on you, but this is death we're dealing with, and to address it with anything but emotion simply won't do. Anyhow, the reason I share this with you is because it's true. Marcus Aurelius once said that what we do in life echoes in eternity, and just as my grandfather echoes through me, so too do your deceased loved ones echo through you. The bricks of your foundation still bear their fingerprints. This realization gave me great comfort, and it inspired me to search for similar reflections on death that are equally true. And in my search, I was fortunate enough to find an essay by Aaron Freeman called "A Eulogy from a Physicist." Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll read it.
Let's see. So I was asking, what is so Arrow said it sounds hostile to deny a maker. It sounds lonely and hostile, and so I was just asking for an explanation. Arrow. So again, I had a question for you. You can hear the words that I'm saying, right? So that's usually respectful when somebody asks you a question that you respond. Oh, okay. Well, I would say that's not a good word for that, because it's not. There's no hostility. There's no anger. There's no. I mean, there's frustration with other aspects, like we talked about, of believing in a thing and then believing that that thing is not true. There's definitely hostility there with the militant atheists. But yeah, it's just it's not in. It's just, again, the same way that you don't feel hostile towards leprechauns. Same thing. Black Salami TV said, I certainly refuse a lot of the Bible myself, and I only trust and believe in Christ. Many verses in Christ. Many verses speak of enslaving heathens forever and never free them in Leviticus. Oh yeah, Leviticus is my favorite. My favorite. It's lonely inside a hostile. What? So sorrowful Is it sorrowful? I don't know. Again, that comes from a perspective of rejection. I think if there was the situation where, like, if we use the analogy of the parent and child relationship, if there was a parent and a child and that child rejected that parent, that would be a sad thing. But if for some way we can have a child without a parent, then them not having a relationship with their parent would be something that they're missing. But it's not it's not the same thing. And so because, and I mean, again, it's not a perfect analogy in that we all do have parents, and then we don't know that we do all have a God. But I don't know. It absolutely can be. It absolutely can be. But anything, I'm stuck on this because I personally became so much happier. I became so much happier. I became so much more loving. I became so much more able to receive other people's positivity, even if it wasn't exactly the way that I wanted it. All those types of things happen once I let go of, well, I was told the world is like this and this is how it should be, and it's not like this, and now I'm mad. And I'm not saying that's how every Christian is, but for me personally, that's what Christianity was to me. It was a box that was making me angry that everybody wasn't fitting in the box. K said Marcus Aurelius was brutal. I don't know what that is. The lion cages he would throw Christians in were among the worst punishments, almost as bad as Nero making Roman candles by burning them in the courtyard. Ant said, I agree. I think Christianity is missing the mark, blindly following a mistranslated account that is also subject to human error and Jewish influence. I mean, yeah, you're right there. Yeah, and that's cool. That's cool, but that's why we gotta have the conversation. And I'm glad that you're curious, and I need those types of questions in order to work it out myself, because I don't have a book. I don't have a spiritual leader in this particular thing of what Lutch believes. There is no leader in what Lutch believes except Lutch, and I'm not anybody special. So I'm just trying to pick up everything else from everybody else. So I definitely welcome the questions, but we got to follow up on them. K Roach said, I follow a Jew, so of course it has a Jewish influence. Yes, I'm saying I'm not going to. I said, this is what I learned when I softened, yielded, and allowed room for acceptance of something I'd hardened my heart to. Yeah, and I definitely had hardened my heart to the notion of not living specifically by the. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Yeah, and it worked the other way around for me, and I think that's the overall message, is that if religion works for you, great. At least for me, I'm not trying to take that away from anybody. I'm just trying to say, for some of us, it doesn't work that way. For some of us, we have to get there from a different way, and that has to be allowed if we want people to end up at that same place. It's more important that people end up at the same place than they take the same route.
Enough to give you the gist, and I'll leave a link in the description to the whole essay. You want a physicist to speak at your funeral. You want the physicist to talk to your grieving family about the conservation of energy, so they will understand that your energy has not died. You want the physicist to remind your sobbing mother about the first law of thermodynamics, that no energy is created in the universe and none is destroyed. You want your mother to know that all of your energy, every vibration, every BTU of heat, every wave of every particle that was her beloved child remains with her in this world. You want the physicist to tell your weeping father that amid energies of the cosmos, you gave as good as you got.
There you go. And again, more lack of sorrow, lack of hostility, lack of all of that stuff. But let's shout out Funk, or excuse me, Funk Master General getting my head now. K Roach with the $5. Thank you. Morty is always famished. Come here, bud. Come here, yeah. Yeah, they want to feed you, man. They want to feed you. There you go. Thank you, thank you, thank you so very, very much. Look how grateful he is. Look how grateful he is. Thank you, thank you, thank you so very, very much, sir. Very much appreciated. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. He's not a little less famous now. Thank you, sir. Black Salami TV said Galatians 3:28. There is neither Jew nor Gentile nor slave nor free man nor woman, women, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. There you go. There you go. Yeah, right. The TheIndianJesus. There you go, Christians. That's how you can refer to me. I mean, you can just call me Lutch, but TheIndianJesus. There you go. There you go. Yeah, well, as you can see, usually the vertical streams are a little bit more about getting more people in, and that's not doing too well either. But I'm trying to focus on one thing at a time. One thing at a time. And indeed, he is the dog father. Shout out to Morty Moore. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, I'm back in here.
Amid energies of the cosmos, you gave as good as you got. And so that's my primary thoughts regarding the death of my loved ones. It's no heaven, granted, but unlike the false promise of heaven, it's true. Anyhow, here's Rachel to once again give you her views.
All right. Well, if I make it now, it won't. If I make it now through the thing, it won't count. But all right. So we're at $20 right now. We're at $20 right now. If we can get to 30 for 30. 30 for 30. Let's go. 30 for 30. Let's get it.
Anyhow, here's Rachel to once again give you her views.
You guys gotta do it.
So I'm not quite as good with words as Stephen is.
Clearly.
Not quite as articulate. But Stephen's line just now about how the bricks of your foundation still bear their fingerprints really stuck with me. And I think it perfectly sums up everything that I want to talk about here. And I think it's a wonderful little statement that really does mean a lot. And also, it sounds way better than anything I could have come up with. But on the subject of dealing with grief and death of other people you love, I've never met my granddads. They both died a long time before I was born. And a part of me growing up, and a part of me even now, worries that I missed out on something there. I would have loved to have had a granddad. I saw friends, and I still see them today, talking about their granddads and how great they are and how brilliant they are. I see people with granddads on TV, and I'm like, I wish I'd had that.
Let's let her make this.
Wanted to experience that.
Thanks.
So for a long time, I kind of felt a little bit of resentment that, death had taken away something from me before I'd even experienced it. That just did not seem fair. That said, when I was younger, my family always used to tell me how much alike I was to one of my granddads in particular. They'd always be like, oh, she's just like him, and things like that. And it took me a long time to realize that wasn't because I was some ghostly reincarnation of him, but that was because my family never let his memory go. My sister...
I don't think she's going to give us anything. All right, so, okay. I got wires and lights and stuff, so let's make sure we don't get anything all messed up. All right, where am I at? Here. Let's go here. Shout out to K Roach. Where we at? No question, no comment. Come here. Just pure love of the game. It's a swole stream, guys. We about to do 30 push-ups. Quamtech isn't here, but he would tell you guys, pay yourself. Oh, all right. Let's figure out how we can do this. We got that over there. I think that works. All right. Ugh. There's enough room. All right. 15 push-ups, guys. We got this. Center. Oh, there we go. Beautiful, beautiful. God damn, I'm pretty. All right, ready? 30 push-ups. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, oh Jesus, 8, 9, 30, and 1, because fuck you unwanted. Boom. Hey. Oh Jesus. Oh dear. Ooh. There you go. Put a 1 in the chat if you paid yourself. Thank you to the Swole crew. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. We're gonna do this. I'm about to be doing this right after that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And Al says, send in love. Hey, this is a free show, so love is very much appreciated. And you got the conversation as well. So that is what we are here for. Yeah, she is very earnest. I wish she was maybe wrote something out first. Some of us are a little bit better at going off the cuff than others. I need some water. That's how bad my cardio is. We gotta start doing that. We gotta start doing cardio stuff. But if we do cardio stuff, it's gotta be the very end, because there's no way I could do a cardio workout and then come back and talk to y'all. Yeah. All right, okay, all right. Yep, cut rate was $50 for 10 a couple weeks ago. It's a lottery. Sometimes it's gonna be cheaper, sometimes it's gonna be more expensive, sometimes it's gonna be, you never know what it's gonna be. You gotta keep y'all guessing, you know what I mean? Gotta keep y'all guessing. So I don't know if I can even do one push-up. I try to avoid the floor if I can help it. Well, there you go. So next time, well, not even next time. Go and do one push-up right now. You could, if you can't do a full push-up, do it on your knees. Just boom, done. Next time, you do a full push-up. That's what look at this. Look at this. You cannot act like, you cannot act like you can be any more embarrassing than this. This is a full flex. This is a full flex. This is the width of my arm. Okay, so all right, that's why we're doing this. That's why we're doing this. And I wasn't expecting to get much, so I didn't set a goal. But apparently I gotta keep setting them goals. Whew. Shout out to Black Salami. There you go. But so next time, recite the alphabet forwards and backwards while running in place. Yeah, I'm gonna have to work up to that one. That's gonna be a top tier. That's gonna be a top tier. That's what we'll do. We'll set up a whole list of donation goals. If we get $20, we'll do this much. If we get $100, we'll do this much. It'll be crazy. Like some y'all see that liquid loud THC. Do not drink the whole bottle. Oh, you mean this kind of stuff? Actually, speaking of, this was it was filled. Where's the 4? It was filled. Oh, this one's pretty new. So where am I? It was like there, and then it moved to there. So that's how much I usually will take. Like, you can't see that, but that's it. Then I let Morty lick the end. Little pip. He likes a little pip. Yummy. Thanks. I forgot I had that. Now I don't have to wait until I roll everything up to get high. There we go. Oh, sorry, guys. Free tickets to the gun show. So I lift. Don't even have Pilates. Mat routine push-ups are not included. Hey, well, whatever it is, we should all get swole together. Yeah, this is it's a straight THC. So instead of putting this into like a cookie mix or something, it's just the straight up distillate. So it's actually a tincture because it's mixed with coconut oil, but they have they extract it and then they mix it. I have another one over here that's just the straight up distillate, which is twice as strong. So there's 4,000 milligrams within, because this one's already mixed. You can see it's a little bit lighter within the thing. It's the same amount, but it's twice as thick. So it's 4,000 milligrams in one thing. Oh, I bet you would. Yeah, it's nice because, especially if you're like me, where I have a little bit higher of a tolerance, but also edibles are very variable. Meaning, like, if I take whatever amount, let's say it's 50 milligrams. If I take 50 milligrams, depending on how much activity I did that day, how much I ate that day, what I ate that day, all these different types of things. 50 milligrams might get me here, or it might get me here. And it's like, yeah. So I usually will, that's about, I usually take about 200. So I'll do that. That was probably closer to like 150, 200, and I'll probably take another one of those. It's early. I didn't realize how early it was. Shit. Usually when I'm on here with you guys, it's late at night. I forgot, but I'm going to bed early anyway. But lumbago, what is that? Lumbago. I never heard of that. Well, that's all I really had for you. Oh wait, did we finish this? Yeah, we finished that, right? All right. I mean, let's see what this girl has to say. But yeah, and bro, $40 for that whole thing. $40 for the whole thing. Hurt my lower lumbar. We never get far. Right around in a stolen police car. There we go. Ooh, yummy. 33%. Honestly, the best strain I ever got from a dispensary that had like the lab testing and everything on it. Was something pineapple muffin, I want to say. I think it was something muffin, and I remember there was a picture of it was something SpongeBob, but yeah, it was only 13%. So definitely make sure you're paying attention to those terpenes. It's not just about the percentage. Rayman is back. Said either the universe has always existed or God has. Yeah, I agree. I think it's not necessarily. I don't see any reason why there won't be a day when we can definitively say God and the universe are the same thing. But that day is not today. So when we use words, like, again, I gotta get that shirt up. That God is a bad word. God is a bad word. The purpose of words is to take the thoughts and ideas from my head and transfer them over to your head. When we use the word God, that doesn't happen. When I say the word dog, even if you aren't thinking of the exact same dog, you are thinking of something that definitely fits into the category of dog that we would both agree on. If I say God, what happens in your mind is not necessarily what happens in my mind. And what happens in their mind is not necessarily what happens in the person behind you's mind. And so I like when we say this, it just feels like what we're saying is whatever is the most, like whatever is the first mover, we're just calling that God. Because if God is just the universe, then one, God doesn't exist, and the theistic, any kind of theistic approach to God does this or God does that, it's just physics. It's no more anything does this than the lighter does fire. Like, yeah, it does fire, but like it's just chemicals. It's just chemicals in physics. That's not something to worship. Black Salami said, I definitely think our existence will never be something quantifiable. How would we determine we exist? What do you mean? That's the only thing we can know. I mean, you've heard of Rene Descartes, right? And his famous, I think, therefore I am. If he, his whole thing was, if everything that I think that I know is a lie from some devil, satanic creature, how do I know what could be true? Well, and that's exactly what our friend Descartes asked. He said, well, let's strip away everything that could possibly be a lie. I think I have a body here, but that could be a lie from this devil creature. I think that I'm talking to my friends over the computer, but that could be all of this could be a lie. We strip all of it down. Okay, well, what about my existence? Could my existence be a lie? If my existence wasn't real, then how would I be thinking this? You can't think something if you don't exist. Therefore, I think, therefore, I am. Hey, there you go. How are you a Christian and an absurdist? That don't make no sense. How are you a Christian and an absurdist? What and how do you what does that mean to you? Because to me, absurdism is not not like the exact opposite, but almost the other side of the spectrum of theism and specifically monotheism. Whereas absurdism is kind of just, there's no purpose to anything, there's no anything, but we make the best of it anyway, because why not? Whereas Christianity is, there's a God, he said you should do this. Oh, okay. I mean, I apologize for assuming. What were you saying here that made me think that you're Christian? Oh. Let's see. There you go. That's what you get for assuming. That's what you get for assuming. Come on, watch. Well, dilly dilly to absurdism. I love it. I love it. Give me more Camus. Jesus is a friend of mine. Fair enough. Fair enough. I think it's very, and we can see how much is opened up when you're like, I'm a follower of Jesus. I'm not a Christian. Like, do you not see how much better it is to not be in the box of Christianity? I don't know. I don't know, guys. All of this stuff, that's just my opinion. I have no goddamn clue. But what I do know is that I have no more of a goddamn clue than you or you or you or you or you. And so as long as we can admit to ourselves that we're all just fumbling around in the dark, and we may have some experiences here and some understanding there, and we can connect certain dots, that we absolutely are nowhere close to ever even knowing if we can see the whole picture. Maybe that the whole picture is something that humans are not capable of. But again, until that is confirmed, I'm going to be the one pushing as hard as I can that we can continue to learn more truth, and more truth will get us closer to whatever God is, if there is such a thing as a God, and if not, then truth. What other destination should we look for? I think that's the best way. I think that's the best way forward, especially because of the fact that even if you are a Christian, that you know for a fact, no matter how much you want it to be different, that there are people out there who are good people who do not believe the same things that you believe, and therefore cannot take up the same exact values that you do. But as long as they generally live the same way you do, as long as they want society to run generally the same way you do, then that doesn't need to be a problem, because there are people who don't want society to run the way that you do. There you go. That is what I'm here for. Entertainment. If you are here for more than just me being a dancing monkey, make sure you join the Discord server, guys. That is the good stuff. That is where you want to be 24/7, guys. We are in there hanging out, having a good time. It is a great place to meet people and go. Why are you not going? There we go. Go. There it is. A great place to meet people, hang out, and we do fun stuff in there. It's not all politics and religion and stuff. We do movie nights. I'm trying to do more game nights and stuff like that. But I really just want to build a community of people like us, people who are like us, people who want to get things right because it works, not because we want to be right, not because we want to win the argument, but because we want everyone to be as best as they can. And if that's not the goal, then I don't know if we're on the same team. Oh, thank you. Closing us out, our sponsor, Funk Master General, with 5 more gifted memberships. Thank you so very, very much. And of course, if you are a member of the channel, that gives you full access to the Discord server, not just the free channel. It also includes the voice channel, where after our Monday, Wednesday, Friday streams, we go over there for an after party where we are not stuck here on YouTube with all those censors, and you are not stuck behind your keyboard. You're actually on screen with me and everybody else. It is a great time. I definitely suggest you come and join us. Some of you just got it for free. So shout out to Doja, Chester, shout out to Chester, Sam, Wonders, and 169. You already in there. But the rest of you, yes, definitely come and join us. We'll see if some of you guys are in there tonight. I might hop in. But every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, definitely we have the after party. So come on through. I really, really, really do appreciate you guys. Thank you again to the donations. We had Sarah Marie. We had our boy K Roach with the 5 and then the 10. And our boy starting turning it into a soul stream on his own. And of course, we have our sponsor, Funk Master General. Thank you so very, very much, guys. I really do appreciate you. I look forward to seeing you in Discord again. That's the real stuff, guys. That's the real stuff. Like, here we have fun, we talk about cool stuff, but Discord is where you want to be. So make sure, if you are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe. I am live down in the studio every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and with the full setup and everything. Thank you again. Once again, let's see if this works. Once again, this is Morty. I don't know if that worked. And I am your host, Lunch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys, we are out of here. Peace.